welcome, welcome to the Opening Bell Crypto Show. Give me just 1 second here. I'm going to go over and make sure that these are working on all the streams, and I can update some of the thumbnails and whatnot. But yeah, big crash, man, big crash. Couple days. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about where it's going, what I think's happening, kind of sectors, and some of the good news as well. But let me update these. Things real quick on Rumble and YouTube. Okay. Let's see here. This way, hopefully, people can find me a little better if I update all the titles and everything. Haven't totally figured out how to do it on YouTube. Just starting on YouTube and all these things, but been doing Rumble for going on a couple weeks now. But I've been Crypto Bull Ron on Twitter. I've been in crypto for 15 years. I do it as my full-time job. So I've been doing live shows on X Spaces over there for 4 years now, and just looking to bring them to some other platforms. And also I'm going to be doing, these are live ones on X, which I haven't done in the past either. So sorry, it takes me just a second here to update. I think I've got I have Rumble all updated. Let me just go check on YouTube. I'm not totally sure I know how to do the YouTube updates yet. I've only done a couple shows on there. Both of them pretty short, but see if I can figure out how to update. I know if I can update this while I'm going, it'll make it easier for people to see and find out what's going on, what we're talking about here. So let's see. Okay. Sorry, I can't do this before, or I don't know how, one of the others, but I know if I can put it on there before we start, then people can see what we're talking about. Looks like this is going to work on YouTube as well here. Let's see. Okay, looks like it might have worked. We'll see. Let me just check real quick over on. I think both those updated. We'll see. Let me go check real quick over on X. Make sure we're. Looks like we are. Real quick over. Yeah. Looks like that's working. Welcome, everybody. I will work there. They've changed my software I'm using. Changed my the format here for a second, but let's go ahead and get started. Also have the chat up. Hey, Bull Collector, GM, we're still Bull Collector there. Been Bull Collector listening to my show. Probably one of my longest listeners. Probably been there all 3-4 years on X. So GM, Bull Collector. I wanted to start out playing this. It's a little tricky with the software I use. If I want to play so you guys can hear it, I have to use a different tab. So I don't always do it. But I wanted to play this by Kathy Woods just to kind of start things out this morning and let you guys listen to this.
That's our base 1.5 million in 20. There are a few compositional changes. One, stablecoins, so especially Tether in the emerging markets, have served the goals that we thought Bitcoin would serve. And that is, we thought that before stablecoins that people would, and they would buy Bitcoin as an insurance policy against confiscation of wealth, either in the form of inflation, hyperinflation, and massive devaluations, which occur regularly in the emerging markets, or outright confiscation of wealth. On the other side, what has happened to gold recently? Gold has doubled over the last 2 years. And has outperformed Bitcoin royally in the last year. So the digital gold role, and we think with intergenerational wealth transfers accelerating here throughout the world, that the younger generation will diversify into a digital gold option rather than the physical gold. It's more their world. And so we think that role has increased, or that the price should be supported by what has happened to gold. If you look at what's happened historically, certainly the last 2 cycles, gold has led Bitcoin. So we think Bitcoin is getting ready for another big run. That's our bull case.
Yeah, so a couple things I wanted to put out in that. Look, so first off, Cathie Wood's ARK Investment. She's not just throwing out numbers, right? Their bull case is still, I think she said what, by 2030, $1.5 million Bitcoin. Kind of what I've always said, and kind of what I go with is I kind of say, yeah, $1 million is kind of my first target for Bitcoin. So I look at that. That's, I mean, geez, we're 75,000, right? When you're 100,000, that's 10x. That's far more than that. And if it hits $1 million, it'll probably hit 2 million, 10 million. Maybe Michael Saylor's. I've heard him throw out 13 million a lot. I've even heard him throw out 21 million. So I'll be happy if it gets to 1 million. And I've been saying that since it was $3,000 that'll get to 1 million. So that's kind of how I look at it. So even though it feels like it's over, and especially to new people listening, like I said, I've been in this game for 15 years. Been in the stock market, took a internet company public that I started. We even went public a couple weeks before Amazon did. So I've been in that market, in the traditional market, so a while as well. Taking a few companies public, so I have a little bit of an understanding of it. I've seen the kind of how the internet grew from, scam to where it is today. So I've seen a few of these cycles. I've seen a few of these adoption cycles, and I believe that that's just what we're in. So, and especially in crypto, we always see these pullbacks. It used to be worse, believe it or not. Those of you that have been here a while know what I'm talking about. Those of you that are new, maybe not. But the last thing you want to do is panic and sell all your Bitcoin, and then only to sell all your blue chip cryptos, and then only have to kind of buy it back later. And that happens a lot. The markets are made to cause max pain. A lot of times you'll notice one of the things we look is what is the max pain? What price will Bitcoin be that causes the most liquidations, the most pain in the market? And oftentimes the market will move that way because that's how markets are designed. That includes the stock market. So just don't panic, don't freak out, whatnot. But I don't really care that much about the stock market, to be honest with you. The reason I do this show, and the reason I've been doing the other show for 4 years on Twitter, now X, which I continue to do, is because we are treated as a risk-on asset. You saw Cathie Woods talking about gold. We've often used the analogy that Bitcoin is digital gold, okay? And it is probably, but that doesn't mean everyone understands. It doesn't mean it acts like that. As she said, they've kind of adjusted their thesis to say, hey, as all this money transfers from these older boomers and stuff that are going to be passing their money on to their kids, that the younger generation is more interested in digital stuff. They don't have physical things like records and movies and things. It's all downloaded. It's much more of a digital situation. So they'll be much more open to digital gold. In my generation, we liked gold. We like physical gold, necklaces, whatever, right? That is going to change, and I think it'll act more like gold, more as kind of a hedge. But it's also very young, and it's basically it's maturing, but still. So she believes that it'll become more of the digital gold thing will become more and more of a play there, as well as she believes that it'll hit 1.5 million. That's kind of the things I wanted to hear. So let me go over to another window here. Let's go. Okay, let me see if I can pull this down so it fits better in the screen here. Okay, I think I can pull it down even a little more. Okay, so let's look at the market. You see we're pretty red market is what it is. By the way, this show I'm trying some days I may come to you as early as 9 a.m. We'll go to a little bit before the hour. The GM Bitcoin morning show that we've been doing 4 years. It's actually in X Spaces. So anyway, we'll jump off before I have to start that. That's a space, so you can't see we'll post some tweets and stuff up there, but you can't really see all the charts or hear audio, things like that. But anyway, I will, probably be starting the show anywhere between 9 to 9:20. And like I said, kind of look at how the macro, it's also meant to be, by the time I do the show, I've already been up for 4 to 6 hours. So kind of give you a recap of what happened over the night, whether you're listening to this live or you listen to on recording. Just kind of give you a recap of what's happened since you've been asleep. Also, kind of what's happening overall in the macro world that can affect things here on the in our crypto world. So first off, let's jump over to Yahoo Finance here and let's look at kind of how the futures are looking. We'll look at the NASDAQ first. So far, it's looking like it's going to open a little bit in the red. Let's pull it up here and have a look. So I've got so many windows up, it can take a second here. Looks like it's going to be opening down about a quarter. Yeah, actually a little about 0.3. Now we've got refresh that. Sorry, it's a little longer since using the software. It's shifted a little bit here, but yeah, we're actually open. Sorry, I kind of get to you before it opened. Let's take a look at how we're doing here. So so much stuff running on there. While we're waiting for that, we'll go to the crypto world here. Yeah, we see Bitcoin 74, 75, 146. So obviously, if we look at kind of the day, we started out about 24 hours ago, about 78, 155. We're down 3.4% from there for the hour since we're down about 0.6. You can see we dropped all the way down to 73 and some change. In some charts, we dropped down to 72. Pretty big drop, right? And then we kind of came back, and now we're sitting at 75, 146. So still bad, but could be worse. At least we're maintaining that 74, 75,000, which we'll talk more about that. Let's go back, see if our NASDAQ's up here. No, I'm just going to refresh it here. I may not pull the chart since they're pulling up slow here. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, the just look at the NASDAQ. Come on. It's really slow. Maybe I shouldn't, this not anyway. Yeah, so the NASDAQ down 0.28. Looks like the Dow's up 0.57 to the positive, and the S&P pretty much flat 0.09. Gold is back over 5,000, 5,054. So yeah, NASDAQ down a little, up, S&P up slightly. Say over. Got some yesterday, but we've kind of stabilized so far. We'll see what happens over the next few minutes. Ethereum, about the same. We had dropped all the way down to 2,120. We're down officially 3.1% for the day, 0.4 for the hour. We're sitting at 2,210. Here down 3.5%, about the same. Got as low as 777. On the yearly chart, we've been as high as 1324. So almost cut in half. Probably a good, definitely one I hold. One of the bigger layer ones. XRP down 2.1% for the day, 0.8% this morning, $1.56. If we look at XRP on the yearly chart, XRP was up at 350. So same thing, down a little more than that for the year, 41.8% from that. Yeah, and then Solana, we talked. We'll look at that, but yeah, definitely way down. The yearly high we look at was 227 cents, so we're down 56.2%. So big dip in Solana. The things we'll look at here. In fact, right here we've got I'm gonna have to buy faster. So Soul's climb from 294 peak in January, mirroring broadening crypto pain with Bitcoin at 76,000, Ethereum near 2,300. Mid-tech layoffs, fading AI despite the tumble, thrives with 3 million active addresses, 7.3 billion total value locked, 879,000 in fees. Analysts like Standard Charter stay bullish, trimming 2026 targets to 250, but lifting 2030 forecast to $2,000. While community voices range from panics to dip buying resolve. So Solana is one of my biggest holdings. I believe in layer ones right now. I really believe it comes down to Ethereum and Solana. And I think Solana has a little more upside. It's faster. It's seems to be growing a little faster. It's cheap, fast, but Ethereum's doing a good job too. We're going to talk about that. Some of the top news today is what Vitalik said about layer twos. But anyway, Solana is still bullish. You see, Standard Charter still has a $2,000 outlook for it. My base case for Solana is that we hit $1,000 in the next couple of years. So I'm not panicking, though. It always sucks when it goes down that far. Wanted to show this Elon Musk. We talked yesterday about SpaceX acquiring XAI, which is both the AI and the X that we're here talking on Twitter here. So he's going to do that. They're going to come out with a IPO this June that's expected at $1.5 trillion. So his net worth is $852 billion. He now has, his net worth is now greater than the next three people under him. So that's just crazy, but he continues, and realize he was almost bankrupt in 2018, had to borrow money from friends. So Crazy, man. The guy's quite a visionary. Now, this is what a lot of people are worried about. They're worried about this is Bitcoin, our good Bitcoiners. Bitcoin is always retested $2 week after EMA. So just in the last couple of days, we dropped below the 100 week EMA, the support, right? Whatever that was, 74,000 or whatever it was. So now, historically speaking, now we always say history doesn't always repeat itself, but it usually rhymes. And so, this is what usually happens. And that we'll now test if we drop below the 100 week, historically speaking, we've always retested the 200 EMA. So that's $68,400. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a cold from my trip to California. I guess I couldn't handle all that nice weather. So a little stuffy here if I sound a little funny. But anyway, put that, 68,400, 69,000. That may be where we hit. If we drop below that, then yeah, we could go much lower. But that's at least something to think about. My show on that's coming up here in 16 minutes on X, the GM Bitcoin morning show, is this charting wealth. And also you see he tagged the Hoff, who's also often comes up, used to co-host sometimes. The Hoff has been, first off, let me charting wealth. Charting has been in the financial industry. He's older, probably in his 50s. Been in the financial industry his whole life and been in mortgage for a long time. He's down in Miami, so he knows a lot. He keeps us updated on that show, the GM Bitcoin show. And also Hoff, big money manager out there, also an entrepreneur, has a lot of businesses, but manages, I believe, billions of dollars in high net worth individuals. And then, of course, myself, Crypto Boron, and 305, who's my co-host on that show for the last 4 years. But we talk quite a bit about all the things that are happening right behind the scenes, especially about mortgages, mortgage prices and stuff like that, because it's causing some real pain for individuals out there. But late stage mortgage delinquencies increased 18.6% in December compared with a year earlier. Late stage is defined as payments at least 90 days. So we had people who are 90 days past due in the last year increased 18.6%. Scary stuff. And a lot of it is because the high interest rates and people are missing payments. And Charting's told us even if someone misses like one 30-day late can make it to where you can't get a mortgage. So mortgage rates are high. Definitely need to get around this. I know Trump is doing everything he can because this is causing some serious pain out there. And down here, the Hoff said people will liquidate. They have to save their home. Eventually, they run out of things to liquidate. A lot worse. There will be good opportunities for someone who's building a war chest of capital to buy these foreclosures. So yeah, it could get bad. It's getting bad out there. So we got to keep in mind, and I think that's why we're bullish on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going up 30-40% a year. Now it didn't this last year. I get that, right? But if you look at it over the last 6 years, it went up like 76%. So we have ups, we have downs. Is volatile, but I believe that Bitcoin, and Michael Saylor believes Bitcoin is going to return about 30% for the next 20 years. So that's why I'm so bullish, stacking a lot of Bitcoin. But on this last dip yesterday, I bought about, 0.1, almost 0.1 of a Bitcoin. Doing what I can to stack more Bitcoin, especially as it drops. I'm looking to make more drastic things. Here is a demand. There's basically supply shock going on, especially for physical. Those of you that spend time or been in Dubai know, I think it's one of the countries that holds individuals hold some of the most gold there is out there in the world. And there's that gold market there. And people really like their gold, and obviously there's silver as well. So there's a little bit of a supply shock. I talk about it on my show. Hold on a second. Got to blow my nose here real quick. I talk about a lot on my show, and you don't hear too many people talking about it. But part of the reason I believe Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million is because of the supply shock. You know, I reported last week, Strategies bought like 44 thousand Bitcoin this year, MicroStrategies. That there's only been like 11,000 Bitcoin created this year. So they bought 4 times the supply. That's one company. So eventually at some point we hit supply shock. It hasn't happened yet. So for those of you that feel like, oh, Bitcoin didn't work, Bitcoin's going to zero or whatever, doesn't matter what Bitcoin goes down to. I believe we'll be at all-time highs this year. I believe we'll be at $1 million by 2030 or sooner. So keep that in mind, right? Can't always look too short term, but the supply shocks, it's a real thing. It's happening in Dubai with silver, probably with gold in some places. And it's going to happen with Bitcoin. Mark my words. I've been saying that for years and years and years. Now, just to kind of show you, like Wisdom Tree, okay, Wisdom Tree, they're $150 billion in assets. They said Wisdom Tree CEO Jonathan Steinberg reveals the business has evolved from an experiment to a core strategic focus and is nearing profitability. The asset manager has dramatically scaled digital asset offerings, going from 30 million to 750 million in tokenized assets. Expansion includes new blockchain integration with Solana. So basically the headline there is Wisdom Tree, a firm with 150 billion in assets, says crypto is now a core business. That's significant. You know, you get hundreds and thousands of these companies, countries, states, retirement funds, family offices, sovereign wealth funds, all coming over to crypto. And this article here, of course, once again by our good friends, Crypto News Hunters, I need to think about this and realize how early we are. Gold and silver market cap skyrockets. We saw that huge, crazy dip in gold and silver. Silver dipped over 40%. I think gold dipped like 6 or 8% on Friday, right? Very volatile, but it's come back. Gold's over 5,000. I'm not sure what silver is, but it's coming up as well in the 80s or $90. But just yesterday, there was a 6.5 trillion increase in 48 hours. So in 2 days, it jumped back $6.5 trillion. That's gold and silver. 4x. That's 4x Bitcoin's market cap. So if you don't think we're early to Bitcoin and you feel like you're late, you're extremely, extremely early. Seriously. And it's in 2 days, silver and gold added 4 times. So if that had happened in crypto, we'd be $300,000 crypto right now, right? 3 or maybe 375. I don't know what the math is there, but so keep in mind you're very, 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 very early to crypto and to Bitcoin, especially Bitcoin. So yeah, if you're just learning about it, it's something you need to look at. Bank of America came out a few weeks ago, said people should allocate about 4% to Bitcoin. Some of the more aggressive money managers I've talked to is saying 15 to 20%. But keep in mind the very few people out there doing it, are you know, even allocating or buying it. I think we have an article coming up about that. But one of the biggest news today I wanted to mention about later, and I don't know the level of your understanding, but in crypto, the blockchains are called layer ones. And then there's blockchains that are built on other blockchains, and those are called layer twos. Because of Ethereum being the primary blockchain, the most decentralized, well, next to Bitcoin, the most secure, because it was so slow and so expensive, they spun off a bunch of layer twos out there. We have Matic, you know, Optimism, of course. Base is a big one on which is Coinbase's blockchain layer 2 on Solana. Problem was it kind of hurts the main chain. Okay, it takes takes traffic off the main chain, takes fees off the main chain, didn't really help it at all. And it's always less secure. There's always disadvantages, always better if you can do stuff on the layer one, right? But it just wasn't possible. But Vitalik, who is the founder of Ethereum, came out and said there have recently been discussions on the ongoing role of L2s, layer twos, in the Ethereum ecosystem, especially in the face of two facts. L2's progress to stage 2 has been far slower and more difficult than originally expected. L1 itself is scaling. Fees are very low and gas limits are projected to increase greatly. Both of these facts, for their own separate reasons, mean that the original vision of L2s and the role in Ethereum no longer makes sense and we need a new path. So that's huge. I've been saying that forever, to be honest with you. Doesn't mean there's no role for layer 2s. I especially don't see something like base going away. But overall, I've thought that Ethereum itself and the layer 2s probably won't go away. But you're always having to bridge over your wrapped ETH onto different chains and stuff like that. It's not the best system, which is why I'm such a fan of Solana. I'm more bullish on Solana than I am Ethereum, but I'm also very bullish on Ethereum. And so with them being able to scale, they've recently hit all-time high as far as transactions and stuff, and the gas fees are still down. Even in the height of the there's more volume now on Ethereum blockchain than there was even in the height of the NFT craze and stuff like that. So they are making big progress, but that's very interesting, very big news. Something I've been saying. Like I say, I don't see the L2s, layer 2s going away, especially things like base, which are getting huge. And but it is good to Vitalik see. I don't think you'll probably see new layer 2s coming around. We're seeing new chains like Hyperliquid and some of these others coming around. And of course, Sui, Say, things like that. But it's always better to do it on layer 1 if you can. It's just a lot less, just a lot smoother and everything. So anyway, interesting, very, very big news though, I think, to take a look at that. So anyway, wanted to bring that up. Definitely food for thought, but it is good, positive things. If you're looking to invest in Ethereum, it's positive for Ethereum that they are being able to scale layer 1. Very, very important. Binance, they have this Seifu fund, which is over $1 billion. It's basically, he said your funds are safe one time and he made a misspelling. This was years ago. CZ himself, he said Seifu, your funds are safe, because there was some kind of problem or with this years and years and years ago. I think it was like it's 18 or 19. Anyway, so he said Seifu. He's kind of been a joke ever since. I mean, and so, but that Seifu fund is basically to protect against hacks and exploits and stuff. It's well over $1 billion. It was mostly in stablecoin, but they've been moving that all over to Bitcoin. So I think that's a good thing because they probably will never need to touch those funds. So I thought that was big news. Couple other things before we wrap up. $12 trillion Vanguard group, which has just recently started letting their people and starting getting into crypto just this year, really. Increased its position in Bitcoin treasury company Strive. Now, a Bitcoin treasury company, or a DAT as we call them, are companies that just pretty much buy and hold Bitcoin. Or there's ones, Tom Lee famously owns theirs for Ethereum, and they're popping up for other chains as well. But anyway, they just added $17.6 million in that ASST is the ticker, Strive. So one of the bigger ones. Once again, the more of these DATs that hold Bitcoin, the more supply that's removed. If they're able to keep doing it, and Bitcoin does return that 20-30% a year, then there's definitely going to be around. And I think it's very bullish for Bitcoin. So that's another more bullish. We see bullish news when we talk about we're early. Yeah, it's painful times. I get that. But man, we have more. I've been here, like I say, 15 years, been doing shows for 4 years. And man, we were lucky if we got one piece of news like this a week. Now we get, or a month even. Now we get it every day. We laugh on the show that we used to talk about, we had hopium for just one piece of news like this, we would talk about it all and how excited we were all week. Now we have multiple news things like this every day. So it's the tailwinds are amazing. Now, fear and greed is at 14, extreme fear, and I get it. Probably should, it is where it should be, but I'll tell you this. One of the indicators, some of the macro indicators, one of my favorite is fear and greed. If you look over the charts and you always bought Bitcoin at extreme fear, you always made money. So, it's what's the old saying? Buy when I think it was Warren Buffett. Be greedy when be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. So it's time, according to that, to be greedy. And I always say buying the fears almost always a good idea. Now, listen, I'm not here to tell you what to do. You shouldn't listen to anybody on X or on YouTube or TikTok or anything. What you should really do is learn the principles, learn what's going on, and make the decisions for yourself. Always do your own research, unless it's actually your financial advisor is telling you something. Licensed financial advisor you're actually their client. Otherwise, you earned your money. It's hard-earned money. You have to be careful with it, and we're here to help hopefully educate you and give you some of our ideas. But I'll tell you this: one of my core theses: when you buy the fear, you're almost always do well. Okay, Cointelegraph insights. 60% of family offices, which are usually, if your family has a lot of money or it's been passed on for generations, you'll open up a family office that works very much like a hedge fund. 65% of family offices prioritize AI. So every day on my title, on my space that's coming up here in 1 minute, I always have AI on there, right? We have AI and blockchain, two of the biggest disruptive financial opportunities you'll ever have. But they're prioritizing AI, and that's part of the reason why Bitcoin is slumping a little bit. But 72% of these family offices hold no gold, 89% hold no crypto. So that just shows you the potential, shows you how early we are. And last but not least, our dipshit of the century, Peter Schiff, who's actually a very smart guy and is actually I listen to him a lot when it comes to gold. He loves to FUD Bitcoin. He's basically just attention farming himself. He loves to talk crap about Bitcoin. He's not stupid enough. He passed up famously on Bitcoin around $9. So I'd be pissed too, and maybe a little salty as well. But anyway, he's saying, Peter Schiff, China is too smart to care about Bitcoin. They're buying gold. And look, they're printing a ton of money, and people do believe they're using it to buy gold and silver. I think, and I hope that we do that. And the first country that does that, starts printing money and buys Bitcoin, they're going to be the real winners over the next few centuries, my opinion. But and like Trump said, maybe we even pay off the debt. Well, hey, thank you for joining me. I got to jump over. Feel free to GM Bitcoin Morning Show happening over on X. My handle there's Crypto Bull Ron. Those of you that are listening to me on X, I appreciate it. Rumble, follow if you aren't already, especially on Rumble and YouTube, because I'm new streaming over there. Only my third stream on YouTube. But if you like this kind of content, go ahead and give me a follow. We'll be here every day, Monday through Friday, talking about the market and how it affects and catching you up on the news that happened when you slept. So appreciate you joining me. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.